Good morning. I thought I'd try something a little bit different today and try filming outside, given that it's so far quite a nice day. So one question I get a fair bit is people are asking me about the M6 Mark II is, what if I can only afford one lens? Which one should I get? Well, as you know, I'm a big fan of the EF-S glass, the one that you would have seen in this video, being this one here, being the 55-250, which is a great lens, and I've got some great photos out of it. It's nice and sharp. It does a great job as being a big zoom. But the problem with a large zoom like this is that it only starts at 55. The focal length of 55 is great if you're doing big landscapes, or you do need a good zoom. But what if you don't need as big a zoom, and what you really need is something that's a little bit more the one lens that can do everything? The sun is incredibly bright, so I'm going to go to the other side of the house. Maybe I can find some shade where it won't be so harsh on my face and, you know, everything else that I'm trying to film. I think that's a little bit better, don't you? So the reason I got my backpack on, even though I'm in my backyard, is obviously I'm talking to you about the 55-250. But what if you do just want a lens that can do pretty much everything? It can be your wider angle and it can be your zoom. Well, the lens I want to talk to you about today is this one here, 18-135. This is a great little lens. Now, if you bought a 90D, you may have got this one already as a kit lens. If you did, congratulations, you've got one of the best lenses in the EF-S lineup. Not only is this a great lens with an amazing reach, I mean 18-35 is a huge range, but it's also really clear. It takes amazing photos. Now, it does stop between 3.5 and 5.6, so 3.5 isn't the most open, so you probably do need to be using lights or something to get a little bit more light into the camera. You're not going to get as creamy a bokeh as you would out of something like a 35mm 1.4 or 50mm 1.8, but that reach and that range just gives you so much flexibility. Right now I'm shooting on the Sigma 16mm 1.4, which is an amazing lens. It's got a nice width to it, but I just want to switch over to this lens now so you can see what this looks like at 18mm and how you could use it from vlogging all the way through to being a zoom lens. Now, once again, you will need the Canon adapter to fit this lens. It's real simple to use. You take off the one end, chuck the lens into the other end, and away you go. Now it goes onto the camera. Right, so there you go. I do need to stand back a little bit further, but this is the 18mm field of view. So you can still vlog with it. If I grab my tripod right now and lift you up, this is comfortable. I've still got a bent elbow. I'm not like reaching straight. Like, this is my reach, and I'm holding just Joby just under. Plus also the lens stabilization on the STM lenses on the EF-S range are fantastic. They're great stable lenses, which just makes life so much easier when you're doing video work, vlogging, and even taking photos at a zoom range. When you're taking photos at a zoom range, you need a good stable lens as well as a good fast shutter. But as you can see, at 18mm, this is perfectly comfortable for vlogging. I can wander around the backyard. Here we go. And yeah, it's perfectly comfortable. I just have to hold it that little bit further away. Whereas if I was using the EF-S 55-250mm, no way, I'd have to stand miles back and you wouldn't even hear me unless I yelled or held the, used the lav or something. Yeah, it works great for vlogging. One advantage to this lens for video work and vlogging is that it also has a 67mm filter thread, which is the same as the Sigma 16mm. So if you've already got that lens and you're using that for video work, you don't have to buy new filters or use an adapter with this lens. They just fit straight on. Meanwhile, what is probably its biggest weakness or its biggest disadvantage is its weight. It does weigh significantly more than even the 55-250mm lens. So in terms of vlogging, it will be the heaviest choice if you're doing video work. But if you're holding the camera or if you're behind the camera rather, it doesn't really matter. You can support its weight by holding the lens. But to be fair, if you're vlogging, I can always hold the camera by the lens too, so it's not that big a deal necessarily, but it is something to keep in mind that it is significantly heavier than the other lenses. So maybe we should look at how it zooms and how it does for photography. So looking at the zoom range, here you can see our little flower pot man in the garden. As you can see, the camera is a fair bit away, and we still have quite a huge wide field of view of the backyard. But when we zoom right in and you get that compression in the background, it looks fantastic, and it has such a good reach. Very, very flexible lens. With that amount of zoom, you can actually capture quite a lot. But how about photography? Let's have a look at some photos.
So taking a look at the first image, with the aperture all the way open at 3.5, you can see you do get a reasonable amount of background separation with a nice crisp image in the center and minimal chromatic aberration in the corners. However, where it really shines, when you zoom in, even at f5.6, you get a nice creamy bokeh effect and really sharp, stunning image in the middle. At a medium focal length of about 35mm all the way up to 55mm, where you're going from about f4.0 to 4.5, you still do get some reasonable separation of foreground and background, and again maintaining that crisp center. However, at a focal length of about 85mm, when your maximum aperture is only 5.6, you do struggle to separate foreground and background a little bit. And even though there's enough there for the center to be nice and crisp and the background to be blurry, you will need to be conscious of anything in the background that might take away from your subject.
Boy, that sun really came out brightly in the end. So as you can see, it's a great little lens, great reach, great versatility, from everything from portraits through to photography with flowers and all that sort of thing. So hopefully you've got something out of that, and you really enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and you know, as always, we'll see you very, very soon in the next video. Bye for now.